Good day, everyone, and welcome to this presentation. My name is Priscilla Oyewode, and I'm here to talk about radio for the street and by the street, a case for community radio specialization for social inclusion and the development of street actors. Now, let's talk about the street life. Street life has been of interest to international bodies and government and non-governmental agencies because street is about people and not just about animals or weird species that we do not know about. It's about people. And even scholars have identified the kind of people that stay on the street. They are mentally disturbed beggars, migrants, women and children in varying levels from one community to another. So these people have made the streets their home. So this article is focused on people who are calling the streets their home. And UNESCO, this is quite important because UNESCO has a goal of leaving no one behind in this pursuit for a better world. Yeah, and the life of street people affects the society at large because street life has a culture. Now, what's the focus of this paper? This paper is set to identify street actors and the residents to highlight the role of media in social inclusion and to also propose a specialized community radio for street community, which I term street media, right? Now, what is street life like? Street life includes street actors and street activities. For street life actors, we have the street kids or street families, because sometimes people don't just live, the kids are not on the street alone. They also are there with their families. Street traders, street bureaucrats, that's the law and order keepers, that's the police station and every legal or illegal law keepers. Then we have the passerbys, which are random people who don't reside on the street, just like the street bureaucrats sometimes. Then the street activities includes street gangs, begging, commercial sex workers, informal economy. Informal economy has to do with trading activities, of which we see one on the screen, which is a picture of traders under the bridge, overhead bridge around Sawmill, Ibadan. Now, community radio as a tool for social inclusion. Social inclusion, it has to do with bringing people, integrating people into society. And community radio is run for community development and not for profit. And it is focused on a social group. It could be a social group or a special group. Special group means a group that is geographically inclined, while a social group means people who share common interests, right? So the community radio could be for a social group or for a special group. And community radio also works to amplify voices that have been otherwise muted. And the reason community radio is important is because of the role of media in social inclusion. Media has played the role of a public sphere, and community radio goes further in bringing people in because it targets people at grassroots levels, at different levels. So the large and heterogeneous nature of the Nigerian audience makes it very important for a community radio. You know, we have over 200 ethnic groups in Nigeria, and it's impossible for one radio station in a particular state to reach all the people. Like, imagine a state that has over 30 ethnic groups. 5 radio stations cannot speak of the interests of these people. So it's time for the voices that are muted to be amplified. Now, founding street media is to be on the principle of participatory theory. Now, what is the participatory theory about? Participatory theory, pardon me. Participatory theory has been a rave in the development scholars circle, because it gives the power to rebuild their destiny in the hands of the community people. It's a revolution from the modernization theory and the dependency theory that believes that there is need for external forces and external influences to help a community grow. But this participatory believes that a community has solution. There is the room for homegrown solutions for community development. Now we have two approaches. We have the Ferrian approach and we have the UNESCO approach. Ferrian approach came from a classroom dialogue situation where Freire realized that it is important for a teaching activity not to be a teacher not to be condescending, but to work in a co-learning relationship where the student is also seen as capable of making intellectual input to a class discussion, right? And this was now brought into development communication, where development practitioners are advised not to see community people as people that should be condescended on without knowing of theirs or a knowledge system of theirs. They also have solutions. They also have ideas, and they are capable of intellectual discussions. Right now, UNESCO approach came in 1977 in a meeting in Belgrade, which is now Yugoslavia. So which was formerly Yugoslavia, and it's based on three principles: access, participation, and self-management. At this point, I want to stress that the Ferrarian approach was focused on just interpersonal relationship or group discussions, but the UNESCO approach is media inclined, right? So it speaks of the access there, speaks of media, the participation media, self-management media. Now, the difference between those two is Ferrarian approach believes that the oppressed, that's the community, identifies the community as the oppressed, that they should be allowed to have exclusive rights to determining their destiny in development communication. They should always have a say. But in the UNESCO approach believes that it could be a gradual process. Access could be given yet to media, participation for sure, but self-management, which is the advanced form of participation, where they have a say in the policy and the planning, which affects their destiny, could be given to them as they grow. Now, for the street media, which is founded on participatory theory, we are going to be following the UNESCO approach, which believes that these people should be brought in and should be allowed to be architects of their own destiny. So the mode of entry for operation of street media is, number one, dialogue and knowledge sharing. We recognize that there is an existing culture in the community. So dialogue and knowledge sharing is the approach Ferran suggested. So we're using a mix of UNESCO and the Ferrarian approach. He suggested this. So it is a place where we meet with these people, speak with them, and actually ask them, present the idea of the street media to them, and actually ask if they will be interested in this. Now, just as Ferrarian approach identified, he said, dialogue is not to be manipulative, it's not to be condescending, but it is a thing of sharing. So the idea is not to be forced on them. If they do not want it at the point, then the researcher would advise that the pressing problem they have should be accepted. But in the case where it is allowed in a community, then the street community should be allowed to own the media. Then the content creation process by the streets, that is to say, the streets should be allowed to come to be part of the content creation process. That is, they could be the on-air personalities, they could be the reporters, they could be the musicians, we're selling their talents, selling the good thing, rebranding the street life, showing that there's something good that can come out of it. Then we have fundings with no strings attached. Now, the fundings with no strings, because we know that every street media needs funds. These are key ways that Gordon's identified, and there are commercial advertising, competitive grants, and service contracts, and so many more. But it is important to note that this is fundings with no strings attached. Now, what are the benefits of street media? It confers celebrity status. That is, the street media is known to confer status on people. We're going to use the ability for media to confer status to promote pro-social behaviors. And I believe that if a beggar, a common beggar, she sees a colleague, a co-beggar on media, and the person is allowed to sing or promoted or something, it will create an image for a better future for that child or for that adult. And we believe, and we know that this will be a subtle process, but it is worth trying. Then the benefits again is self-representation of street actors through the media. No longer will their story be told by a third party, but be told by themselves, be told the way they want it to be said. So it is not a media for, it's not the media about the people, but for the street people. And also the street media will reduce disinformation and misinformation. And we know that misinformation is something that sparks violence or makes the street gangs to be used easily by people who want to maximize or use their rogue behavior. But when information is coming from a trusted source, it will surely reduce disinformation and misinformation and give them a mind of their own. Now, the potential challenges for the street media includes that it could be used as a propaganda tool, it could be boycotted by the street media, and this could be if we exclude them in the decision-making process and if they are religious or ideological barriers, because they exist. Ethnical differences too could be a challenge for the street media. Political interests could be a challenge for the street media. Now, conclusively, we are proposing this because we believe that for a truly holistic development in society, no one should be left behind. This is a recall of what UNESCO said in the meeting. Now, street culture affects society one way or the other, passively or actively. For even people who are passerbys, street culture affects. You hear it in the slangs, you see it in the fashion world. One way or the other, the external observers are a part of street culture one way or the other. Therefore, the street life cannot be ignored. So this article suggests that media can be used to get the attention of street actors and integrate them to become contributors to society good. No longer can we leave the drug dealer. We cannot just leave them to themselves and be passive about them. We cannot just leave the beggars to themselves and believe that one way or the other they will change. There is need for them to know that there is a society for them, and that society is the same we live in, and they're accepted in it, and they can take part and participate in the social good and enjoy a better life too. Thank you.